We are ready. Oh, here she is. Great. All righty. So let's do your back. That's good. Just went off there for a minute.
Yeah,
right,
I know.
We're just about to start, so you're welcome to getting up on the mat. So we're going to do the sun salutation, but we're going to do it slower today. So yeah, in terms of adjustments, that's one of the things I like to do. Like moving the limbs when you're sick is actually a really good thing to do, because it really helps, you know, those white blood cells get around. So I wouldn't not do a sun salutation if I'm not feeling very well, but I just do it like slower. And like already I've done what, 5 little rocks and my legs are going, oh, you're tired, you know. So I would be listening to that. I wouldn't just ignore it and just stop a bit sooner. So you keep going if you're fine with that, until again you feel that. So whilst I'm, you know, waiting for everybody to catch up, or I could be doing things like drawing the outline of my feet on the floor and just getting that much better idea of my feet, which, interestingly enough, it feels really wonky today. I feel like I've got one leg further down and the other leg further up. So again, the body's showing me something is up in a very subtle way. Lovely. So let's see how those feet are, and then we can move on to the hands. Again, just can be a massage. After nearly a year, I think, of not doing the pinching of the fingers, you know, that came back with full force a few weeks ago, and I'm really loving it all over again. So interesting how some things come back. So you pinch each of the tips of the fingers. I use the nail, and then you press the palm and squeeze. And then it's like a game of connect the dots. So the big dot in the center of the palm of the hand, and the little dots in the fingers, and they're all connecting up. And there are the hands all online. Lovely. So where this pinpoint is here at the back of the neck is also the place where we have the exchange, the valve that exchanges the fluid in the spinal cord, of which there's a lot of white blood cells being done there. So it's a really good place to make sure it's nice and loose and open. So let's do this one. We'll bring the hand and we'll press the jaw into the hand. 1, 2, 3, and release. 1, 2, 3, and release. And 1, 2, 3, and as it releases, really notice it going all the way back into the back of the throat, where the head and the neck meet. You might even want to give it a little bit of a circle, remembering from last week's session how this pinpoint here and the jaw work together. As you bring that back to the center, and you know the head is on top of the flagpole, we can give it a little bit of a extra input with a bit of stroking or tapping. Something light and easy, that the jaw has even more of a chance to really drop down. And then again, we're just feeling into our feet, our hands, and our face. Lovely. And then we're going to bring the hands into position. So opening out in the underarms is really important. We're going to lengthen the spine. We're going to lift the head off slightly. As we tilt back, we're squeezing that gland in the back of the neck. Take a breath in. And as you breathe out, again, really slowly. There's no hurry. We can take as many breaths as we want. We're coming to this forward bend. We let go of the back of the neck. And now we're opening that gland up there. A little bit of a stretch of the hamstrings. It's amazing how when you're not feeling well, the body can feel so stiff. Breathing in, we look up. Again, we're squeezing the back of the neck again here, opening the thyroid, dropping the breastbone, and coming back down with the breastbone first. Let the head go. Relax the jaw. Circle the head. See, is it loose? Does it feel independent of the end of the body? And when you bring it to stillness, another secondary relaxation of the jaw. Let's take a step back with one leg, step forward with the other. And again, here, what we can feel is like this slightly grittiness in the groin stretch, which again is just showing that the glands, they're probably working a little bit of overtime trying to get you better. So you might not feel like coming all the way up. It might feel too painful sometimes when you're not well. And then breathing in, reaching up. Lovely. And then the hands come down. And we lean in again. Try and get a second stretch. So leaving that leg behind you. When it comes to plank pose, we might not want to do it for very long. The heart rate's certainly going to go up quicker, but that's a good thing. We want the heart rate to raise just a tiny amount. But you might find you don't have the energy, and that's all right to do more than just 1 or 2 breaths, whereas normally you can do 4 or 5. So you just follow whatever the body is telling you. And instead, we spend more time in the relaxing bit, doing a bit of bottom rolling. Like I said, one of our main aims when we're not well is to make sure that the immune system is working at its best, and having a relaxed cortisol and adrenaline-free body really helps. And then we're just allowing the lower back to relax, to just feel that letting go feeling. The legs sort of dropping off the end of the body. The hot plate's nice and heavy, like a sack of potatoes in the lower back as you bring the arms around, ready to open the chest. Make sure that sack of potatoes is still heavy beneath you, breathing in. Lengthening the spine, pushing through. Here we're going to really open out the underarms as we stretch back into the puppy pose. Heels of the hands, elbows, shoulders, all releasing. Perhaps when we get to try and stretch the rib cage, you'll notice that it's a bit tight, so let's give it a little bit of a rock side to side. Just using the hands to create the rib cage rock. And again, just staying a little bit extra time perhaps, unless of course the body tells you to stop. And having a nice stretch afterwards. And then we're going to bring the hands together. A bit closer in, tuck the toes under. Now, downward dog is one of those poses that I find really hard when I'm not feeling all great. So I'm just going to get as comfortable as I can and just see how long it lasts. Let the legs go, pull out the pin and the lower back and the upper back, reaching. Really feel the difference between left and right today. The jaw relaxing, the head letting go. Now, because I still want to stimulate a little bit of that gland, at the top pin, I might circle my head or turn it or polish the flagpole. And then reaching and releasing. And then, of course, when you're done, which might take a bit longer for most of you, just finding that not a lot of strength there, so that's okay. We're just leaning forwards, Again, trying to open up this ground, so gritty here, especially compared to normal. Pushing the floor away, feeling like I'm leaving the leg behind. Coming up. If you want to, opening out the underarms here, so reach with those arms. And as the hands come back, a secondary, lovely, long stretch here. Check with your jaw and neck. Make sure that the top of the head is still relaxed and letting go. And then this back leg is going to come forward into that forward bend. Letting go of the elbows and having a little bit of a rock side to side if you feel like it and feel you need it. Doesn't last long, but then just letting the arms go. Again, checking in with that jaw and neck. Making sure that it's loose, circling the head, that pin in the top of the head nice and loose. Relax the jaw. And then we're going to anchor. Nice and slowly. Finding your feet. Oh, once you've found your feet, let's stretch out. Opening the underarms, opening the thyroid, squeezing the valve. Even the thighs are getting a bit of a stretch here. Bringing the palms together and just draw that line down the center. Now, often after having sort of stimulated this lymphatic system like that, when you're not very well, you do get this sort of drowsy, weird feeling come in, which is basically it starting itself up and unclogging itself and starting to do its job. So I often say that with yoga and not feeling well, one of two things happen. You immediately feel worse, which is kind of good because it means, you need to go lie down, and in your sleep, the immune system is going to do what it needs to do. Or you suddenly feel a bit better, only to feel worse a bit later and have the same thing happen, because at some point, the immune system is going to have to kick in. So just feel your feet and your hands on the line, feet either side of the line, the central line, the jaw relaxing towards the line. Letting all the thoughts and everything that's going on around you just fade away as you bring all your attention back to the body. And again, just feeling how it is. Just a nice, gentle sun salutation to just move things around. And so we're going to start with getting rid of cortisol and adrenaline in the body. So you can put your foot up on something, or you can just bend down. But either way, we are coming to this gland here at the back of the ankle. Just get a bit closer so that you can also see better on the camera. And just remember, we are kind of milking it. So we are massaging up towards the calf, up towards the calf, up towards the calf, until we feel it get warm. And when it does get warm, make sure that you cover it back up again so it stays warm. And then we're going to give it a bit of a pump. So I'm squeezing here the back of my ankle. So what I'm not doing is pointing my toes. Instead, I'm concentrating on squeezing and stretching the back of the ankle. The toes can stay quite flexed. Also, somebody said the other day, in ballet, they call it naughty toes. And they point up. Okay, so they don't, the toes are not in it. And then once you feel that real warmth, we're going to give it a good stretch. So we're stepping forwards with that one leg. Bend both knees and we come down. We're just going to try and straighten that front leg out a little bit. And really feel that stretch all the way up the hamstring. Doing our best to relax and let the leg go. Pull out the pin in the lower back so we feel the hot plate and the weight of the sack of potatoes in the bottom as well. And also at the same time, just making sure that the tail is loose, so you might circle it just once or twice just to double check that you're not holding on to your tail. And so all 3 pins are pulled out, and we've got a lovely stretch for that. And then we're going to take a step forwards with the other leg and a big step back onto the ball of the foot with the leg that we're working on. We then bend the knee and we're going to stretch out the back leg now by trying to get the heel as close to the floor as we can. So big calf stretch here all the way up. Making sure that all of that cortisol is definitely all gone because we're stretching really deeply into this calf. And what's quite interesting when we're finished, we've only done one leg, if you just stand and feel the 2 legs, I can feel like this side is so much more relaxed than that side. So easy. Okay, let's do the other side then. So again, we're just lifting up the leg or putting it on a chair or just bending over to do it, but we're massaging, getting this nice and warm. And as you feel that warmth come in, cover it back up again, and we can squeeze and stretch. The amount of time, it really depends, but for me, it becomes a bit irritated. It feels a little bit irritated, and that's when I know to stop. So bending the knee, giving that leg now a nice stretch all the way back up, 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 up. Putting into principle all the things we know, letting the toes soften, the legs let go. Feeling the heavy sack of potatoes in the bottom drop. Tail feeling loose. And maybe all 3 at once. All 3 feelings at once. And then we'll take a step forward. 1 foot, big step back on the ball of the foot, bend the front knee. And then drop the heel back. The more forward you are with this front leg, the more forward bending you are, the more you're going to stretch the calf. Stretch, and hopefully by then both legs are feeling a little bit wobbly, but we still need to do the thigh. So I wouldn't miss out on the thigh. You don't have to make it a complicated stretch. You could be holding onto the wall, but just so long as you've got a bit of a thigh stretch. Of course, it is an opportunity if you fancy it to do the dancer and challenge yourself a little bit, but you could just be here and just stretching the thigh. And again, trying to get that leg to relax. So in the dance, there's so much else to think about. We might forget that we're trying to let go of the leg and feel the hot plates heavy in our back and all of that. So, it's a bit of a choice there. Can you do it all, is the question. Can you let the leg fall into your hand and feel heavy? I can't balance on that side. So lopsided today. Oh, lovely. So with the thighs stretched, I've got that real sense of having put my legs down and that they're made of lead. Okay, and that's our sign. That's our sign that we know, yeah, I've done a good job. The legs are completely free of any stress hormones, one hopes. So let's come into a final forward bend. We're going to transition from here down onto the floor. I have been doing, in the other classes, we did do the hot plate, the adrenal glands standing up, but just feeling the need to come down onto the floor, and that's okay. So again, I'm listening to my body and I'm going, actually, now that my legs feel this wobbly and relaxed, maybe not having to use them is a good idea. Let's just have a little child pose here. And a moment of breath and rest. tuning into how I'm feeling. I can feel my heart slightly raised, my legs are relaxed. I do feel a little bit more energized than I did before. So, you know, so it's working. It is working. All right, so we're now going to come and do a little rub of the adrenal glands. So just getting into this idea that we can also stretch and squeeze and all sorts of things. It creates some heat for the adrenal glands, just like we did for the ankles. Remember, you can do one side and then the other. And actually, when you're feeling lopsided, like I am today, you know, doing one side and the other will really massively help to even out that lopsidedness. And then we'll just place the palms of the hands over the nice warmness that we've created. Lovely hot water bottles on our adrenal glands, feeling them soften. Lovely. And then I'm going to find the actual adrenal glands. So let me just come a bit closer to the camera so you can actually see this. If you follow your hands up the bone of the back of the pelvis, when the bone finishes, if you were to carry on, you'd find a rib. Now, in between the top of the pelvis and that rib is a little gap. You come out sideways to the gap. That's about as close as we're going to get to the adrenal glands. Okay. Now, you can do this either standing or sitting. But we're going to look up and back. And as we look up and back, we're going to give a little squeeze, a little push. And then we're going to come forward. So it can just be a C shape. Stop pushing. Just leave the thumbs there though, because we're going to do it again. Just create a C shape, whether you're standing or sitting. And then we do it again. You can up and back, a little squish. And it is light. Do it too hard, and the gland won't like it, it'll irritate it. So it's really quite soft. And also another thing that happens with some people, especially if there is a lot of adrenaline there, is it can make you feel a little bit sick if you do it too hard as well. But just 3 times is usually enough. Then we can release the hands, bring them a little bit further away, and do a cat-cow. That's another way of gently squeezing. And now also what we're doing is as we move the spinal cord around and get some fluidity up and down. We're also going to get some nice flow of white blood cells there. If you feel like you need to do a bit more, hands quite far away, you could always do things like upward dog, into child pose, and back, or upward dog, if you're feeling energetic, into downward dog. See, the upside downness of this is quite good. You can almost feel the glands, like it's like a coldness that kind of seeps down the back, and that's, for me, is always represented like that adrenaline going into that system. So, you know, you can do that numerous times, as many times as you feel you need. But at some point, you know, the glands start to feel a bit cranky. Like, enough of that. And I always listen to that. That's a good sign to, you know, you've done enough. And just to sit in downward dog or child pose, as long as you want, as long as you can. Now that we've done all of that, though, we've got that adrenaline out. We do now want to give this area a really good stretch. So we can stretch the hamstrings and the back really well in a pose like turtle pose. Okay, so let's just give that. There's a little bit of psoas here as well. We'll be coming to the psoas in a minute, but once you've done that to your adrenal glands and you come into a pose like this, you can really feel them. And it's quite good to learn to differentiate the difference between sort of adrenal glands feeling a little bit sore and backache. A lot of people confuse the two. And just letting that, much of that, let the legs go, drop the hot plates, big heavy bag of potatoes, the spine's movable. Give the tail a wag, just double check. Relax the jaw, let go in the neck. And just enjoy the stretch for as long as you want. And sometimes if you stay long enough in a pose like that, it probably is enough actually to get all of that adrenaline out. But psoas muscle particularly can be very tight, can be holding on to the last remnants. So we'll just give it a little bit of a warm up, doing a little bit of butterfly pose. Just that, remembering that letting go feeling. We need it so much for whenever we do the psoas stretches. And so we're just going to have one leg straight and one leg bent. We're going to turn towards the straight leg, but notice that I'm not turning my pelvis to face that leg. I'm just twisting in the upper body. And then as I slide my hands down, so much going on. So two different psoas type stretches. One leg is doing one thing, the other leg is doing something completely different. But both of them require the letting go of the legs, the putting down of the bag of potatoes, the spine feeling loose, making sure that you're not taxing your neck or your jaw or even bracing in the upper body. So all three pins being pulled out. It's the same thing on the other side, so leg out to the side, leg in when you feel ready, and not to rush you, but you can stay as long as you like, obviously, and just catch up. And just, again, starting with thinking about what I need to do, having to let the legs go, so even as I come forward, letting go deep. It's such a deep psoas stretch, this one. Thinking about those three pins, the jaw relaxed, the neck letting go, the upper back, the shoulders are soft. As you breathe into the chest, the spine feels loose, the diaphragm warm, the hot plates at the top warming up your shoulders. The lower back letting go, the hot plates sinking into the mat. Use gentle release as you come up. A little bit of a circle here. And then we'll bring both legs out. And we're going to again turn to face one side, but we're going to slide the hand down the other side. You can even perhaps hold a toe and rest the elbow. But immediately I do that, this leg comes up. So I've got to make sure that it goes back down. And I've got my hand here to remind it. It's like, you're going that way. Once I've got the legs relaxed, so the toes are soft, and I'm putting the legs down, and the sack of potatoes is most definitely on the floor, I can bring the arm up, and as if I'm being pulled, I'm going to the upper part of the psoas here now. Letting the legs go, reaching. Checking with your jaw and head. Coming up. Oh. Yeah, somehow it feels a bit stronger, that one, because of what we did before. Let's face the other side. Slide the hand down. And work on releasing that leg. Once it's there, the arm comes up and we're reaching. Feeling both the legs letting go. A big heavy sack of potatoes sitting on the floor, push it down. Even as you're reaching or being pulled, there's a resistance there. You're definitely staying on the floor. Breathe, relax the jaw and head. Make sure the head is in a comfortable position. Find the top of the neck. Basically, looking at your armpit generally tends to be the safest, easiest place. Again. So as I come back up to sitting, I can just sort of feel how, I can move my pelvis. I've got mobility. I might do a bit of S to C, just side to side, round and round, just to notice that that psoas is definitely letting go there. And because we've warmed up the psoas really well, it would be quite nice actually to do a pose that we often don't get a chance to, which is the pigeon pose. So pigeon pose, you've got your hands, you're going to place the knee right in the center and turn the foot out to the side. And then all you do is walk the back leg backwards until you find the stretch in the psoas. Now be careful not to roll over to the side, because if you do that, you lose the stretch. So stay sort of perched above the leg, and then you're just waiting for that muscle to lengthen. And eventually the bone will come onto the floor. It does take some time though. It can take years. When I mean time, I don't mean today. But if you let the legs go, soften the toes, it helps enormously. If you put your sack of potatoes down, it helps a lot. Because, on days like today, feeling a bit tired, you could even lie on the leg. Make a pillow of your hands and just rest the head. And if you've ever practiced yin yoga, this is one of their favorite poses. You sit here for about a couple of minutes. Just observing what's happening in the body in those few minutes, a lot happens. Checking in with your jaw and neck and head. Releasing the shoulders, making sure the diaphragm feels warm. We won't stay 2 minutes because unfortunately we can't afford the time, but if you can't find a reflex yoga class, I always say yin yoga is quite good because you've got 2 minutes at least which is a lot of time to then go through all the different reflexes. A lot of yoga classes go too fast and you don't have the time. And yin yoga, you know, is quite available, so you might well be able to find a nearby class, and then you can practice all you know. You have time to practice all you know. The letting go of the legs. You know, sack of potatoes being heavy, the spine feeling loose. The shoulders orangutans, the diaphragm warm. As you breathe, the spine feeling loose. The top two hot plates melting the arms off. The head heavy in your hands and the jaw relaxed. Yes, and that pose has made me feel a little bit flushed, which is a good sign. It means I'm doing the work, I'm getting it around the body, so lovely. So after that, like lovely little circles, encircle the whole body here now, the breastbone and the pelvis, the head. Just go, oh yeah, what's left? So obviously we haven't done the diaphragm, and the diaphragm can be the thing that's left for a lot of people after doing this. So we might feel relaxed, but the worry's still there. So a little bit of diaphragm work won't go amiss. So let's place the hand on the diaphragm, and let's take a breath in, hold, push back with the hand. And when it feels uncomfortable, we release, which might be quite quickly today. Breathing in, hold, push back. And release. One more. Of course, you're doing it hopefully in your own time. Holding for as long as is comfortable for you. When you're done, make sure you feel into what's happening there in the diaphragm for a moment. And then if you feel the need, and and it is nice, this is so comforting, so soothing to have a little bit of a rock now. You can do the rock before or after, or both. You do a rock before, a little bit of a diaphragm, isometrics, and then another rock again. Why not? As long as you don't overdo it, of course. And then we just bring it to stillness. And there we are. Obviously, for us, because we've been doing this for so long, it's going to be quite quick. So let's do a little twist before we go down onto the floor. So this twist is particularly designed to target the adrenal glands, and obviously now the diaphragm as well. So we've got you've got options with your feet. This front leg, so you've got one leg tucked under. This foot will go either on the heel, or by the knee, or over the knee. Okay. If you do put it over the knee, make sure that you sit back down and have that moment to let your sack of potatoes fall onto the floor again. And then to get the adrenals, we're going to do what's called an open twist. So that means that whatever leg is on top, it's that arm, not the opposite side, that arm on the leg. Okay, so it's not opposite hand, opposite knee. It's the same arm, and it goes over. And then we look over the shoulder, let the legs go. And you'll notice that this stretches majority in the lower back. And you can feel that adrenal area that we were massaging earlier. And as always, it's all about letting the legs go and dropping your sack of potatoes and feeling the looseness of the spine and the breath coming in. And then we're going to keep the legs as they are and now bring opposite hand, opposite knee. And do the upper body. You can see the difference here. The legs can let go and now we're working into the diaphragm. You could give the diaphragm a tiny little bit of a rock if it feels tight. So we haven't done a great deal for that. And so we're looking over the shoulder, letting the legs go, breathing. And of course, twisting of the spine really good. Oh, spinal fluid getting around that, those red blood cells shifting into the bloodstream as much as possible. And so the same will be for the other side. So again, choosing your leg position. Is it the ankle? Is it by the knee or is it over the knee? Letting the legs go. Whatever leg is on top, it'll be that side you're going first, the same hand. Looking over as you let the legs relax and the sack of potatoes fall onto the earth, then you can feel this stretch in that lower back area. And opposite side. Doing a bit of a ribcage rock if you need it. Much more into the diaphragm this way. We'll bring it back to the front, kind of little circles. Okay. And just bring it to stillness for a moment. Just see how the body feels before we lie down. What else needs to be done? And I'm just feeling a little bit of this cold sort of sweatiness that you get and this sort of feeling of wanting to go lie down and sleep. And sometimes if you are able to, the yoga nidra, if you drift off, we've done such a good job that you have this really healing sleep, and then when you wake up, you actually feel a lot better. So, you know, it's not a bad thing to start to feel a little bit dodgy, that, you know, after having done all of that, because the immune system has really been worked here. All right, so at the same time, we've been reducing the cortisol and the adrenaline, so all of that is going to help. So let's bring the arms up and over. And just give the head a bit of a rock. So just going back a little bit to some of the tension that we've been working on the past few weeks. A little bit of a reminder that you can do this to release that pin in the upper back and neck. So as you bring it to stillness, let the jaw go, let the arms go. And you might think, oh, I can't quite let the arms go like I could last week or the week before. So the question to ask, like, what is it? Is it orangutan arms? You could imagine 2 arms up, 1 arm forward, 1 arm back, but you're actually doing that right now. It could be that the diaphragm is not really heating its way up, or that the hot plates are not really awake. You could still be holding on in the jaw and the head might not be loose. And also, of course, we can work on this by stretching it. So if we push through the feet and lift up the pelvis and roll the head in, the arms will, with a bit more ease now, relax. We've course, it's quite nice to be upside down. And you might not have the strength to hold it for very long, but that's all right. If you're not feeling well, that's fine. And remember, the coming down is equally as important. So you might be rocking your head side to side or rocking the rib cage side to side, just trying to get, especially when you reach that point of tightness, like what does it need? Does it need a rib cage rock, or does it need a head rock? What's holding on there? What's the reflex? And then you come down a bit more and you do the same. Like, which one is it? Is it the rib cage rock? Is it the head? Because I do both at the same time, because then that just saves a lot of time. So I'm rib cage rocking, head rocking, dropping the spine down a little bit of a time, waiting for that tightness to go. And then when I stop and the arms release, it's like, oh, such a difference here. And of course, I want to imprint this. I want to remember that the body remembers to bring this back when I need it. And lift the arms using the core and place them either side. Heavy, heavy arms. Remember, the hot plates are really supporting the arms here. And then we're going to lift the knees off the ground. So slightly different to what we normally do. We're lifting the knees off the ground. We're going to bring opposite hand to opposite knee for this floor twist. And then we're going to use this hand to direct the legs to the side. And at the same time, we're watching this opposite shoulder. It is going to want to come off the floor. You are allowed to let it. But then once you're down, your job is to put it back down. In the same way. What was that pattern I had? Oh, yeah. There it is, the hot plates melting. And if it's really tight and, dangling in the air, you could give yourself a little bit of a rib cage rock using the hand on the knee. You give the head a little bit of a rock in situ as well, just a tiny little moment of rocking. And then seeing how that helps put that shoulder and that arm down. And again, we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So we're going to lift the legs, recross the ankles the other way. Use the hand to direct the legs over. Let the head roll. Again, see what does it need for that shoulder to completely release. It could be diaphragm, it could be neck and jaw. As we come back to the center, just a reminder that, we've done the hormones, we've done the stretching, but the nervous system is still missing. Okay, so we're going to do some rocks after our fish pose. So we're going to sit on our hands, stretch out the legs, tuck the elbows in, and get the hormones right here. The final piece in that puzzle is to have the heart above the head for as long as we can. So try to, rather than have a big stretch in fish pose here, and if you want to have a big stretch in fish pose, you can do it another time, but here it's all about that heart being above the head. So the more comfortable you are and the longer you can remain up there, the better. So having a massive stretch probably can be recommended if you really fancy it, but it might impede the amount of time you can stay for. Roll the head in as soon as it starts to really become uncomfortable. And let the arms go and just enjoy that shower. It's going to be stronger than normal because of everything we've done. And of course, the vagus nerve there is wanting to switch on. So let's make it easy. Let's bring the soles of the feet onto the ground and just have a knee bend rock. Just feel the looseness of the whole body. However much effort you're putting in, keep the movement going, but reduce the effort. Relax your jaw, let go of the head. Again, just waiting for your response, whatever that is. So different for everybody. Mine's just a very quiet sigh. I'm just going to bring that to stillness and just observe the body do its thing. But because I'm a bit more Moro, I do actually want to do a little bit of more Moro, and I'd like to do my neck. So I'm just going to bring in the rope here as a reminder. So the rope is the one where we've got the feet together, the knees together, and we start a side-to-side movement, side-to-side rock. A bit like the bottom rock, a little bit slower though. In the lower back, and then I can bring my hands to my ribs, and then like a rope, the body starts to sway side to side together, except for the head, which of course is independent and loose on the end of the spine, which is going to rock however it wants. Tuning into which part of this is hardest for you to do. So being a bit Moro for me, it's the rib cage. So I'm working just a little bit harder to get that rib cage smooth. Make sure it's moving, make sure that the whole thing's moving. Going into a nice rhythm. And then when you feel, oh, again, that response in the body, which, because we're doing 3 reflexes at once here, don't forget. So when we bring it to stillness, we are going to have a wonderful feeling of release happening. Now you might still be thinking, oh no, not quite there with the jaw. So you could just do a little bit of stroking, tapping for the jaw. All this preparation can also be done beneath your lovely warm blanket. So you're just preparing, making sure that after all of this work that we actually get the necessary time as well with the relaxation. And like I said, if you haven't been feeling well, you might drift off to sleep. So if I was doing this at home on my own, I'd be crawling into bed right now, making sure I'm super warm. So allowing your attention then to fall on your breath, and that you're following the incoming breath, the outgoing breath, as it enters and leaves through the nostril. Not much is needed for relaxation to come now, except our ability to be focused on the body. So just let your attention fall on the breath as it comes in. And it can be just as simple as picking a color, a favorite relaxing color. And as you breathe, sending that color down to the toes and feet so that the toes and feet are infused with this color. And just like that, the toes and feet are relaxing and the toes and feet are relaxed. Feeling that color move up through the ankles, the calves, the shins, through the back of the knee and the knee, up through the thighs, front, back, and sides, all the way to the hips, so the whole of your legs suffused with this relaxing color. And so the legs and feet are relaxing, and the legs and feet are relaxed. Letting this relaxing cover weave itself through the pelvis, around the bones, the tailbone, through the organs in this part of the body, weaving itself up through the abdomen, through the spinal cord and the bones up the back. Feel itself weaving itself all the way through the diaphragm and around the ribs, the shoulder blades, the breastbone, the clavicle. As it weaves its way all the way up into the shoulders, feel this warm color flow down the upper arms, elbows, lower arms, wrists, palm of the hands, back of the hands, all the way to the fingertips. So now the arms and hands are relaxing, and they are relaxed. And the torso infused with this relaxing color, also letting go of any tension. Feeling this warm and relaxing color infusing the throat, the neck, the join between the head and neck, the jaw, inside the mouth, the gums, the teeth, the tongue, the root of the tongue, the back of the throat, up the back of the head, the crown, through the forehead and brow, down through the cheeks, to the nose, to the lips, to the chin, the whole of the face and head completely relaxed. And the whole body infused with this relaxing color. As you breathe in, it's as if the breath were a spotlight, making this color that little bit brighter. First of all, in the parts of the body that find it a little bit tricky to relax, just breathing into those areas, feeling the color infuse any tightness. And then being able to breathe into the whole body lit up with this color. And as you breathe out, letting go into the earth, feeling release into the ground as the floor comes up to meet you and holds you up. Breathing in, feeling the brightness of the color, brighten that little bit more. And letting go into the floor as you breathe out.
And then just having a moment to see if you can feel the two together. Feeling both the weight of the body and the color infused, relaxed body at the same time. And allowing yourself to stay and be here for as long as you need to. See you all next week.